What's up, guys? Today we're going to be reviewing another interview question. Today our interview question is called reverse only letters, and this is a question that's being asked by Microsoft right now.
When the first time I met my mama, she was a one night. Hell no, nothing but my money and my right.
Alright guys, so today we're going over this problem called reverse only letters on LeetCode. Again, it's being asked by Microsoft right now, and our problem description says, given a string S, return the reverse string where all characters that are not a letter stay in the same place and all letters reverse their positions. So this is like a classical twist on reverse a string. I feel like there's a lot of different questions that ask you to do things with reversing strings or parts of strings or different characters within strings, so this is a good problem to go over and to have in your toolkit. We've done things similar to this. I think I've actually done reverse a string before. I think I've done reverse only vowels, so this is just another tiny flavor of that problem, but nonetheless it's kind of good to go over and remember the formula for reversing a string. So our first example has AB-CD, and what we'd return is DC-BA. And the reason for that is because A and D are switched, right, or reversed. A and C are reversed, and then the hyphen just stays in the middle. Similarly here, right, if this is our string, we would return this. And the reason for that is because the A and the J are going to switch on the ends. We're going to move to a hyphen at our first pointer, like ignore it, right? Move forward, now we're holding a B. And then we're going to move to a B on the end, and we're going to reverse the things. And we're going to kind of follow that fashion, right? So what we really want to do, actually let's go over our notes quickly. The notes tell us that the length of S is always less than or equal to 100. It tells us that the ASCII values of any character are between 33 inclusive and 122 inclusive. I'm guessing that probably just means, actually I don't really know what that means. It's just something like within the certain ASCII ranges. I don't know what ASCII value 33 is or 122, but if you guys want to look it up, go for it. It tells us that S doesn't contain any leading forward slashes or quotation marks. So I guess that's helpful. So what do we have to do? So we need to do the normal kind of like reversing a string, right? And so to do that, we want two pointers. And what we're going to do with our pointers is just going to change slightly because of our problem. So originally in reverse a string, we want to have a pointer at the beginning and a pointer at the end. And every single time, swap those two characters, increment I, decrement J, and continue swapping until the pointers meet. But in this case, right, it's just slightly different. We want to make sure that before we do any kind of swapping, both of our pointers are just pointing at letters and not characters or symbols or numbers or anything like that. So that's all we have to do. So we're going to basically walk through our string with our pointers, and the only time we're going to swap things is when we've actually found two characters to swap. So let's try and do that. So the first thing we're going to do is just have a pointer I that starts at the beginning of our string, and we're going to want a pointer J that starts at the end of our string. And then the other thing we should probably do first actually is just make a character array, because strings in Java are immutable. So to actually manipulate our string, we're going to have to make a character array to do our swapping. So we're going to say character array characters equals s.toChar array. Great, so now we have our character array, we have our pointer I, we have our pointer J, and now we just need to say, well, we haven't walked through our string, let's do our swapping, right? So we'll say, while I is strictly less than J. We have some work to do, we have some characters to swap maybe, so let's make sure that we swap them. So now the first interesting part is we just want to make sure that one of our pointers, let's say I, is actually pointing at a letter, right? So we want to basically skip any characters that are not letters, but when we do find a letter, we want to hold that pointer there so that we could then do the same thing with J. So let's do that first for I. So we're going to say as well, I is less than J, right? Because we don't want to go past J. And the thing at the ith position is not a letter, so character.isLetter s.char at I. So while the current thing at I is not a character, let's just increment I. And now the great thing about this is we're just going to do the exact same thing for J now. So now we're going to have moved I to a specific point where we either have passed J or we actually have a letter at the ith position. Now we're going to do the same thing for J, right? So now we have a pointer held at a character to swap. Now let's find another character to swap it with for J. So we'll say, wow, J is greater than I, and the same thing, right? The character at the J position is not a letter, J minus minus. Great, so now we have the two pointers, we've moved them to a point where they're both hopefully pointing at characters. Now all that's left to do is swapping them, and this is the easy part, right? We just say, let's have a temporary variable that will store one of those characters, right? And then we're going to have, now that we store that character, we could change that character at the ith position to the jth character, and then we can set the jth character, the character at the jth position equal to our temporary variable. And the last thing we need to make sure we do is actually increment our pointer I and decrement our pointer j, because we just swapped those two values, so we don't want to keep swapping them, right? We'll just be in an infinite loop if we don't do that. So we want to make sure we say I plus plus here and j minus minus here. And finally, when this loop actually terminates, all we have to do is bring back together that character array to be a string. So we could say return new string from our characters. So now before we submit this code, let's just talk about our runtime. So the runtime here is going to be O of n, right? So in terms of characters in our string. And the reason for that is because this while loop is basically going to traverse all the characters in our string with our pointers. So we could say that the runtime is O of n, where n is the number of characters in our string. In terms of our space complexity, we're also going to say it's O of n, right? Because we're taking this string s and we're converting it to a character array. So we're going to need n slots in our character array to store all those n letters. So again, our memory complexity would also be O of n. So now let's run this code. Let's make sure that works. Awesome, and it does. So guys, that's how to solve reverse-only letters in Java. Again, this is a question that's being asked by Microsoft right now. If you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, do me a favor and leave the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more. And I'll see you guys next time.
She's a stripper, naked dancer, but she begging me to wife. When the first time I met my mama, she was a one night. Hell no.